Good afternoon, Donna. I'm Richard Clark, a member of the Countryside Historical Committee, and I have the pleasure of sitting with my neighbor and friend Donna Helpin, who, along with her husband Bob, are pre-construction original owners in the same unit that they purchased originally. So, Donna, thank you for your time and coming over this afternoon.
Anytime.
What inspired you to pick Countryside?
Our friends had purchased in Foxfire. It was pretty much sold out, and when we looked, I just didn't like the looks of it. And I don't know if you remember Helen Jones. She was in the sales office here at Countryside.
Helen got a piece of me too.
Did she? And she put us up at one of the Country Haven places, and so we looked around. We looked all over Naples, and we didn't want to be up in North Naples. It was too busy for us. We liked being a little further out, and it really, Countryside was probably half built by the time we decided to purchase.
Well, I have the same recollection. Donna and I bought our units at the same time, and I can verify that we have aluminum studs, at least on the housing units. What do you recall as far as what Countryside looked like at that point in time, other than the half-built aspect?
It wasn't going to be a large community, a big community. We were told about 1,100 homes, verandas, and condos, and that was more our speed. We don't like the big communities. And we really purchased on the 5-year plan. We would evaluate our likes and dislikes every 5 years. Bob was still working. I came down here because of my health, the warmer weather, and he would be here for 2 weeks and gone for 2 weeks for 12 years. And then he moved full-time.
My mind is going back thinking about all those years that we've known you. What do you enjoy the most about Countryside today?
Today or back then?
Both.
Back then, it was new, brand new. We didn't want to buy anybody else's headaches. So that was one of the reasons. And what I like now is you can partake or not partake of the activities. And I've just seen it evolve, which is lovely. It's not staying stagnant, and that's really important when you buy in a community. You need to upkeep it and update it.
How about other significant changes that you think of? And we're sitting in one right here, right?
The wellness center, of course. I don't play tennis, but it's nice to have the new courts. Anything that's pleasing to the eye for those people that do partake.
Now, I do notice, by the way, that our real estate community, whenever they have a prospect, this is one of their first stops. So I think that's quite a tribute, Joe, to the foresight that the board and Mike used to create this place.
It's really, when I think of the gym, shall we say, that we had, the exercise room, it was like a closet. And nobody could get in there. I pretty much stayed away during the pandemic from the wellness center. But it's just lovely.
What would you tell a potential buyer today if someone came across your doorstep?
A potential buyer? I
Yeah.
have them all the time. Are there going to be any assessments locally? And they'll know.
Yeah.
And I said, no, there are no, I don't like assessments. I would rather pay the dues as you go along.
I think it was a wonderful thing that the golf course was refurbished with the relatively low assessment.
It was.
That was
That was important. It's just lovely. It's a nice feeling when you ride through the gates.
Yeah.
Some communities that I go through, they're either I think, over the edge, shall we say, or you could tell they've never done anything.
There's a community down the street where I've been playing pickleball recently, and it's built maybe 2 years before Countryside, not Foxfire, I won't mention the name.
I know.
But they don't have the color, the flowers, the lawn care that we have here, and it really, it's quite striking.
I don't play golf either. When we bought, I said to my husband, if we buy on the beach, you have to keep the windows closed because I can't breathe with the red tide. But he said, then we have to buy in a golf community and I will learn to play golf, which he has.
And he makes a lot of money, which is kind of suspicious between us. But I had a brother who was in the real estate business, and he told me that Countryside, this is now 33 years ago, was the best value in South Florida. And I had nothing to do with it, but there's a plaque as you enter the clubhouse which says best value in South Florida.
It really was when we looked around back then, things were less, we bought the end unit, like same unit as yours, a different building. And when we went up the cement stairs, there were no railings. So I'm standing there and I said, so I'm supposed to know what this is gonna look like? So took me down to building A, and as I said, we were only gonna stay here for 5 years, and 32, 33 years was still there.
Well, we're talking now about the verandas, and Donna happens to be the president of Verandas 3 Condominium Association.
Right.
And you had that job for how long?
26 years.
Well, some people can hold a job, that's all I can say. What are some of the, let's say, the ups and the downs of being a condominium president, Donna?
Well, I really shouldn't be on the board at this point in time. However, when I've asked people to come on the board, and that there are plenty of capable people, the answer is they just didn't come down here for that. And I am here year-round, which is, I think, one member of your board should be here year-round. And for the most part, I think that the different people that I've been on the board with, sometimes I thought, oh, this is going to be challenging, but it's turned out fine. Why? State statute and your documents rule.
Yeah, and a common mutual interest in doing a good job.
Well, it's a place where we live full-time, and we want it to stay looking nice.
Can I ask you about the challenges?
The challenges are, we're finally training people to call our manager. Verandas 3 does not have the same manager as Verandas 1, 2, or 4. And we went with a smaller company this time. And what was the worst that could happen if it didn't work out? You get another manager. And it's just taken a load off of my shoulders. People still tend to call me, and I have a stock answer. Call the manager. She would be the one to get the person that you need. And other times they call and I say, that's your responsibility.
Now, you get a lot of people who have moved in recently and they have been individual homeowners, and all of a sudden they're in a condominium with necessary rules and regulations.
It is. Yes.
If this is an opportunity perhaps to say something about, in that regard, about the do's and don'ts and what you'd like to say.
Every new owner, we've taken from the documents and rules that our board has created over the years, and it's 6 pages instead of the full documents. And every time they pass papers, they get a copy. Now, we give them to them, we can't make them read them. But I do get calls, when is the window washer going to be here? And I said, whenever you want to do it. And others, they think they can just plant what they want. So for the most part, everybody, once they know the rules, they're fine with it.
That probably is the biggest challenge you have, though, just the transition from home ownership to condominium living.
for people who have lived in a condominium before, but the rules are meant for everybody but them.
Wow. Now that's a very valuable thing, Donna. I always have ulterior motives in these interviews, and I thought it would be very helpful to get that on the record as someone that's been managing for 26 years, verandas, 3. And by the way, my wife and I are delighted with Donna's stewardship. Any other final comments, Donna, before we take a departure here?
No, that's it. I mean, and obviously we're we're into our 7th 5-year plan, so we don't plan on going anywhere, obviously.
Well, Donna, thank you for your time. This is
Anytime.
terrific.
Thank
And
you.
you want to ride home?
Do you need one?
I'm all set. Thank you.